So it failed completely. And, they were questioning whether this was going to turn out like I told them it would ultimately turn out. Hey, leaders and learners, Leonard Geddes here, founder of the Learn Well projects, where my mission is to make learning more visible, more manageable, and more effective. I want to take a minute and provide you an exciting update. Something that started out as an epic failure ended up being a striking success. So I've been working with a STEM institution that I was introduced to originally in August of 2021. This school had some courses that were students weren't performing well in. They were high failure rate courses, but students needed to succeed in those courses because they were gateways into other courses in this all engineering school. Initially, I did some work with the faculty, did some work with the students, and revealed some areas that they could really improve significantly in a short period of time. They started to do some things, as you'll see in this audio recording that I animated. You will see an animated version of a conversation that I had with the faculty member there, who tells the story of how they started to make some of the changes, but they didn't do quite the things that I mentioned, and so it failed completely. And they were questioning whether this was going to turn out like I told them it would ultimately turn out. And they had a remarkable success. Many institutions are trying to improve their retention, their persistence. They have all these different programs and technologies and gadgets going on trying to do this, when really the most trusted and the truest way to improve all of those core metrics, retention, persistence, satisfaction, graduation, completion, you name them, the most trusted way to improve those metrics are to fortify your first year students. What I mean by that is if we build within students the proper academic competence that's needed for cognitively complex environments, like the kind they see in college, then you not only retain those students for one semester, but you build in automatic persistence afterwards. And in this story, you'll hear the professor tell about how that manifests on this campus. Another element that I think is evident from this story is the change of culture. Oftentimes, administrators and faculty are saying, we need to change the culture. That word culture gets thrown around so much that I really don't think people understand what it means. In my experience, culture is simply this: perspective and practice aligned. When people say there's a certain culture there, what they usually are referring to are the way that things are done. There's a certain way that things are carried out. However, that's only the surface of the culture. The real culture is a change in the perspectives. What'll come across, hopefully, in this little clip is the change in perspective amongst students that led to a change in practice. The change in perspective amongst faculty that led to a change in practice. And those two things together produced a change in culture. And now here we are a couple years later, and the institution is different. The success is different. The way students are working are different. So in my new book, How to Successfully Transition Students into College from Traps to Triumph, I share some of their stories, some of other stories, but more importantly, I share the nuts and bolts of how educators and institutions can go about resetting and changing the culture definitively. That from day one, when students come in, we can create an environment that successfully transitions them into the type of academic work that they need to do. And so get this book, because it's going to share key tools and insights and strategies that have been used to help successfully transition students into college. So another thing that you'll see here is that the students are doing different work inside of the class, and they're also doing more work outside of the class. They're taking greater ownership, greater responsibility, and the faculty, although they're still working hard, they're less burdened because now students are capable of doing their part of the academic work product. So check out this video. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it, and hopefully you're having the same type of success. And if you're not, contact me, because I've been able to achieve these kind of results at a number of institutions.
Kids come in with the impression, I think from high school or something, that the teacher should teach them, and then they just go write some stuff that's verbatim what they did in class. And no, we're not going to be verbatim. You have to go work at this stuff because we want you to see different ways and that kind of stuff. And if you're successful, you should know that all these problems are related to each other. If you think they're all different completely, you miss the point somewhere.
That's so powerful, because what I hear in that is students are learning the relationships amongst the concepts and the different computations that go along with it. Whereas before they were ignorant of the concept and they were just trying to learn all the problems and they saw no relationships amongst those things. So when they got to the exam and the exam didn't specifically cover a problem that they could recall, they were completely lost.
Exactly. And I remember first time I met you, it was like, because we were going, oh, what's wrong? And we felt so confident the students could do this, and then they all failed the exam. And you go, you guys are down at the analyzing step or something.
Yeah.
They're all stuck at remembering. You didn't give, I still quote that, you didn't give them exactly the same problem.
Yep.
So, we've been working on that, and I'll tell you, students are starting to recognize the different behavior.
How so?
So when they were preparing for the exam, they were like, I was done in 2 hours. And the result was like a 95 on the test.
Wow. That's fascinating, because it goes back to what we were saying before about if students would learn to do academic work consistently, it would make I had to take a moment and take it in, because I remember when these students were putting up so much resistance in the early parts of the semester.
Right? Yeah. And the class really was engaged and doing the in-class exercises and participating, and they did great. And they almost had fun. They went from failing to exams in the 90s.
Failing to 90s, that's excellent.
Yeah. And if you showed me their exam, it was gorgeous. They had the process, and they did the calculation right next to it. So they understood it, they could communicate it to the instructor, and the instructor could read it. And I think the other instructors noticed too, because some of the students that are now sophomores and juniors have kept the format.
That's excellent. Having worked with schools, it's hard to sometimes know when you're turning the corner. Because, each semester you're teaching a new group of students and those students move on. And the fact that that you see those students in upper level courses are taking the lessons and the practices that they learned and the perspectives that they learned into upper level courses, that is how you build not only retention for that year, but you build persistence beyond that.
Right. The ability is in there, but they've never had to use it and tap on it in academics because it's been so easy for them.
Yep. Remember, if students think well, they will learn well and perform well in school, work, and in life.